6:45 a.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Lal Malvarachi and read by Mario Vijayavardhana. The headlines. An island-wide travel restriction is now in force until Monday. People will be permitted to travel to hospitals for treatment or any emergency. People living in the floodplains of the Kalu, Ging and Nilvala rivers are advised to remain on alert of the possibility of floods. 2,246 fresh coronavirus infections reported so far yesterday. The death toll rose to 892, with 24 more deaths. The Vesak Festival limited due to the pandemic. In foreign news, Israel reinforces Gaza border as conflict rages. Police spokesman, Deputy Inspector General DIG Ajit Rohana says, all travel has been banned unless for emergency purposes, and all shops must remain closed from today until 4 a.m. on Monday. This includes supermarkets and other grocery stores as well. He said, however, people will be permitted to travel to hospitals for treatment or any emergency, while they will also be allowed to purchase required medicine. Pharmacies have been urged to implement the delivery of medicines in order to prevent the people from leaving their homes during the 3-day travel restriction, the police spokesman says. He also notes that the ID provision is not valid within this 3-day travel restriction but will be implemented on Monday. Therefore, the police spokesman says that the 3-day travel restriction from today until Monday will be strictly enforced, and he urges the public to cooperate in order to control the rapid spread of the COVID-19 virus. However, all economic centres, including the Manning Market, the Paliagoda Fish Market, and other markets can only operate in wholesale capacities during the travel restriction period, he added. He also says that all food delivery services can operate on the 14th, the 15th and the 16th of May during the travel restriction period. Once again, the police spokesman, the Deputy Inspector General DIG Ajit Rohana says all travel has been banned unless for emergency purposes, and all shops must remain closed from today until 4 a.m. on Monday. This includes supermarkets and other grocery stores as well. He said, however, people will be permitted to travel to hospitals for treatment or any emergency, while they will also be allowed to purchase required medicine. The Ministry of Health says that another 2,249 persons have tested positive for the coronavirus in the country yesterday. This brings Sri Lanka's total coronavirus cases count to 135,796, while the total recoveries stand at 108,802. 26,126 patients infected with the virus are currently under medical treatment. The total number of deaths rose to 892, with 24 COVID deaths reported yesterday. The Disaster Management Centre warns that the water levels of the 3 rivers have observed minor flood level capacities at the Panadugama area in the Nilvala River, the Udagama area in the Ging River and the Millakanda area in the Kaluganga area. People living in the following floodplains of the Kalu, Ging and Nilvala rivers are advised to remain on alert of the possibility of floods. Accordingly, Pitabaddara, Akurassa, Kanduwa, Malimbada, Kamburupitiya, Tihagoda and Athuraliya, Udagama, Mapalagama, Nagoda, Unanvitiya, Valleyvitiya, Baddegama, Holuwagoda, Bulat Sinhala, Palinda Nuwara, Millenia, Horana, Dodangoda and the Kaluthara areas are under flood threat. The water levels of the Kalani River and the Attanagalu Oya is also rising rapidly. Once again, people living in the following floodplains of the Kalu, Ging and Nilvala rivers are advised to remain on alert on the possibility of floods. Accordingly, Pitabadara, Akurassa, Kanduwa, Malimbada, Kamburupitiya, Tihagoda, Aturaliya, Udugama, Mapalagama, Nagoda, Unanvitiya, Valivitiya, Baddegama, Huluwagoda, Bulat Sinhala, Palindanuwara, Millenia, Horana, Dodangoda and the Kaluthara areas are under flood threats. The water levels of the Kalani River and the Athanagalu Oya is also rising rapidly. A minor flood situation has occurred in the Puttalama district due to the heavy rains in the country. The Deputy Director of the Disaster Management Centre, Pradeep Kodipilli, says that 2 sluice gates of the Udavalava reservoir have been opened. He further said that reservoirs in the Hambantota district have filled with water, reaching the levels for opening sluice gates. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
People's Bank Isuru Udana gift certificates, a valuable gift for any child.
The Railway Department will operate several office trains across districts and provinces to take essential workers, the State Railway Service said, though long-distance travel was restricted as part of the anti-coronavirus movement controls which were on from yesterday. The Railway Department said in order to provide transport facilities from province to province for the essential workers in both the government and private sectors, a limited number of trains will be operating between the main stations, avoiding all substations. Morning trains include the office train from Kandy to Colombo Fort, which departs at 5 a.m., the office train from Mahava to Colombo Fort, which departs at 4:45 a.m., the office train from Halawatha to Colombo Fort, which departs from 5:50 a.m., the special train between Bolabatta and Puttalama, which departs at 7 a.m., the office train from Beliatta to Maradana, which departs at 4:30 a.m. These trains will run to their station destinations in the evening too. The department says all passengers should provide their NIC, office ID and a signed permission letter from the company. Once again, the Railway Department says in order to provide transport facilities from province to province for the essential workers in both the government and the private sector, a limited number of trains will be operating between the main stations, avoiding all substations. Accordingly, morning trains, office train from Kandy to Colombo Fort, which departs at 5 a.m., the office train from Mahava to Colombo Fort, which departs at 4:45 a.m., the office train from Halawatha to Colombo Fort, which departs at 5:50 a.m., the special train between Bolavatta and Puttalama, which departs at 7 a.m., and the office train from Beliatta to Maradana, which departs at 4:30 a.m., will ply. The government has decided to pay a monthly allowance of 2,500 rupees from the 1st of June to all the registered preschool teachers. The Secretary to the President, Dr. P.B. Jayasundara, has informed this in writing to the Finance Ministry. Dr. Jayasundara has informed the Finance Ministry Secretary to provide the relevant allocations to the State Ministry of Women and Child Development, Preschool and Primary Education. Muslims in Sri Lanka celebrate Ramazan festival today. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and the Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa have wished a happy and peaceful Eid to all the Muslims in the country.
Your sister got him the most valuable gift of all.
My family will do anything for our child's future.
People's Bank Isuru Udana gift certificates, a valuable gift for any child.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vidya Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya.
The Ministry of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs says that all community services implemented to coincide with the state Vesak festival will continue, although the festival was cancelled due to the pandemic. A short religious program will be held on the 24th at the Hunupitiya Gangaramaya Temple, Colombo 2, under the health protective guidelines. The Secretary to the Ministry, Professor Kapila Gunawardena, has requested the public to celebrate the Vesak festival, giving priority to religious aspects, considering the present situation in the country.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya.
Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
And now in Watchlight, the National Building Research Organisation, the NBRO, has issued landslide warnings in the Ratnapura, Matara, Kagalla, Kalutara, Gala and Colombo districts. The people in these areas are asked to be watchful and vigilant of the sudden appearance of water sprouts, cracks on walls and on the soil, as these may be signs of impeding landslides. Once again, the National Building Research Organisation has issued landslide warnings in the Ratnapura, Matara, Kagalla, Kalutara, Gala and Colombo districts. That came to you in Watchlight, and now in World News headlines. Israel reinforces Gaza border as conflict rages. Kenya MP Moses Kuria admits taking $1,000 parliamentary bribe. Shortages in Colombia as demonstrations rumble. Israel has deployed tanks and troops to its border with Gaza as it mulls whether to launch a ground operation in the territory after days of violence. Conflict raged throughout yesterday as Palestinian militants fired rockets into Israel, and the Israeli army maintained a barrage of airstrikes. More than 100 people have been killed in Gaza and 7 have died in Israel. Jewish and Israeli Arab mobs have also been fighting within Israel, prompting the president to warn of civil war. Kenya MP Moses Kuria has told the BBC he received a $1,000 bribe in Parliament last year to back the appointment of the majority leader. Quote, "It is not unusual for members to get this kind of an inducement," unquote, he said, adding he would return the payment. Mr. Kuria made the remarks as he and 2 other colleagues are to be censured for alleging payouts were made to back a recent constitutional amendment bill. Majority Leader Amos Kimanaya has denied that bribes are paid in Parliament. 3 weeks into nationwide anti-government protests, residents in Colombia's third-largest city, Cali, say they are struggling to get petrol and food items. Protesters have blocked some of the main access roads into the city, and deliveries have been severely disrupted. Cali has been the scene of some of the worst clashes between protesters and security forces. At least 42 have died in the protests. And now the main points of the World News segment once again. Israel reinforces Gaza border as conflict rages. Kenya MP Moses Kuria admits taking $1,000 parliamentary bribe. Shortages in Colombia as demonstrations rumble. That was World News, and now in development news. The Sanasa Entrepreneur Financial Expertise Centre, SEFEC, continues to demonstrate its commitment towards uplifting the standards of organic farming in Sri Lanka through its latest initiative of helping an agri-entrepreneur set up the necessary infrastructure for a successful model organic fertilizer unit in Beliatha. Through such initiatives, SEFEC hopes to ensure sound organic farming systems in Sri Lanka. The Beliatha Organic Fertilizer Production Plant produces approximately 1,500 kilograms of organic fertilizer per month. It has obtained a financial facility through the Sanasa Development Bank to expand production at the plant. Once this process is finalized, the production capacity is expected to increase tenfold, and the plant will be well placed to fulfill the high demand for quality organic fertilizer in the region. That was Development News.
Sports News is brought to you by...
When Aya bought a motorbike, he bought 2 helmets. So sweet of him. I'm sure the other one is for me.
In whatever we do, we Sri Lankans are always thinking of others. When we get Munchie Super Cream Crackers, they're not just for ourselves. Munchie Super Cream Cracker. Super kiyanne nikan neveyi.
The 18-member Sri Lanka one-day international ODI squad for the tour of Bangladesh has already entered into a bio-bubble from the 10th of May at the Taj Samudra Hotel in Colombo. A senior official of Sri Lanka Cricket said the squad commenced their practices from the 11th of May at the R. Premadasa Stadium under strict health regulations. The Sri Lanka ODI squad is scheduled to arrive in Dhaka on May 16th and will undergo a complete 3-day quarantine period. The ODIs will be played on the 23rd of May, the 25th of May and the 28th of May, within a bio-bubble stretching between the team hotel and the Sher Bangla National Stadium in Mirpur, Dhaka.
My wife always sets a full lunch table even if it's just the 2 of us. She always expects people to drop by, like maybe the army.
In whatever we do, we Sri Lankans are always thinking of others. When we get Munchie Super Cream Crackers, they're not just for ourselves. Munchie Super Cream Cracker. Super kiyanne nikan neveyi.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Government institutions involved in the fertilizer sector are making an aggressive campaign to increase producing organic fertilizer using modern technology. They aimed at trimming the country's fertilizer import bill of around $400 million, but also increases the use of organic fertilizer from the present 10% to around 70% in the next 2 years, and most importantly takes Sri Lanka towards a chemical-free fertilizer using healthier nation. Chairman of the Ceylon Fertilizer Company Limited, earlier known as the Ceylon Fertilizer Corporation, Janathas Vidhanage, says that the first step towards this endeavour is made by merging them with the Colombo Commercial Company and making it a one-strong unit system.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
And now in economic news, the rate of unemployment has spiked in 2020 from 2019 as a consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic on the economy. Figures from the Department of Census and Statistics show that unemployment remained above 5% throughout the whole of 2020. The department states the estimated economically active population is about 8.5 million in the fourth quarter of 2020, of which 66.3% are males and 33.7% are females. The economically inactive population is about 8.4 million. That was Economic News.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue in partnership with the Ministry of Education introduces Nanasir, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
Showers or thundershowers will occur at times in the Sabaragamuwa, central, western, southern and northwestern provinces and in the Mannar district. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places elsewhere during the evening or night. Heavy falls above 100 millimeters can be expected at some places in the western, Sabaragamuwa and the central provinces and in the Gala and Mathura districts. Wind speeds can increase up to 40 to 50 kilometers per hour at times over the western, Sabaragamuwa, central, southern, northern, north central and the northwestern provinces. The general public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize the damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during the thunder showers.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
And now the headlines of this news broadcast once again. An island-wide travel restriction is now in force until Monday. People will be permitted to travel to hospitals for treatment or any emergency. People living in the floodplains of the Kalu, Ging and Nilwara rivers are advised to remain on alert on the possibility of floods. 2,246 fresh coronavirus infections reported so far yesterday. The death toll rose to 892 with 24 more deaths. The Vesak Festival limited due to the pandemic. In foreign news, Israel reinforces Gaza border as conflict rages.